Hey guys, thanks for showing up to the Shiny Things podcast. I'm Lisa Mitchell, communications expert and certified body language trainer. I'm here to help you figure yourself out a little bit and be able to decode other people better too. The goal of the Shiny Things podcast is to get you showing up as your most clued in and confident self in any situation. This season, we're focused on getting real about dating in an app-based digital world. We're going to dive into the good, the bad, and the really, really ugly parts of dating on demand. With so many apps bringing you so many options in such a short time, it's hard to not get distracted by shiny things. Let's get the conversation started. In this episode of Shiny Things, we're going to take a look at how you are showing up in the digital dating world, and not just in regards to posting a great and clever profile, but more so in regards to really knowing what you want and what you're looking for before you even dive in. Today, we're going to get some expert advice on how to prepare yourself for digital dating before you ever even think about posting your profile. How do you get really clear on your boundaries, your desires, and what you're willing to bring to the party yourself? And once you do post your profile and it's live out in the wild, how do you make those initial conversations really help you filter and get clear on who's on the other side of the conversation? I am really excited today because I have not one, but two experts joining me on this episode. Coach Mark and Coach Michaela Logue, welcome to Shiny Things.
Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Thank you, Lisa. Great to be here. Excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you guys on. And just a little background for the listeners here. You are both relationship experts who, unlike many relationship experts, are actually happily married to each other.
So it's to each other, not to other people.
Yes.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool because you guys know that it's possible and you know that you can help other people get there too. And I'm so excited about that. And I want to start by talking a little bit about your kind of origin story. I know you guys kind of collided in the digital dating world. But I also know that you both had done a considerable amount of work before you really put yourselves out there. So I cannot wait to hear your story and help our listeners figure out how they can get clear on who they are before they jump in and then really show up once they get there.
All right. Well, first of all, I love your voice. Your voice is very sexy, darling.
Yeah, baby.
Thank
Groovy, baby.
This is my early evening, haven't slept in 3 days voice.
Ooh, I love it. Well, I will tell you this. Mark and I did collide in the digital dating world, and he was trolling the internet.
Oh, here we go.
He was trolling the internet for his next catch. Just like a little creepster in the background. And then the next thing I knew, he went in for the kill. So this is a perfect podcast episode for us to share our story on because we've lived it and we've come out the other side successful. So, to bring it back to actual serious talk here, because we're talking about love and relationships, and this is all so serious. I'm going to pass it over to Mark.
To the troll.
to talk a little bit about how we first got started. But yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for that intro. You set me up on that.
Welcome to the show, troll. I mean, Mark, let's find out how you got your creep on the digital dating world.
Creepsters are so hot.
Creepsters.com, you'll see my picture. From years before I met Michaela. So, well, thank you for that intro. That's lovely. Now people are thinking, who's this creepster from another country trolling the net? So, look, all right, I'll speak for myself, and Michaela can chat about what she did. So, I had been trolling, for lack of a better word, for about 3.5 to 4 years before I met Michaela, and throughout the process, I dated, and I was very clear on my intention to date, meaning I went out with people to enjoy people, to experience people, to go through growth myself, because I had come through the other side of a divorce in 2010. And I had wounds. I was wounded from that. And I was intentional around finding a partner, a life partner, from a place of being positive about myself, about being empowered with myself, about being the best version of myself, as opposed to going in emotionally damaged, injured, or wounded. Because if you're in that frame of mind, you're going to pick the wrong person. You're going to pick a person at that level, at the level you're at yourself. So I got very clear on who I wanted to have in my life. And there's a great story about a Buddhist monk who meets a young man one day, and he looks to the young man and he says, "You seem very sad." And the young man says, I'm very sad. And the monk says, "Why?" He says, "Well, I'm looking for love. I'm looking for the perfect woman." And the monk says, "So tell me more about that." And the young man says, "Well, the good news is I found her. She's amazing. She's incredible. She's all that I've ever wanted in life. She's what I've dreamt about since I was a little boy." And the monk looks at him kind of confused and he says, "So if you found the perfect woman and she's all that you ever wanted, what's the problem?" And the young man looks at him and he says, "The problem is she's looking for the perfect man."
Oh,
Ouch.
Right? So I had heard that story years before and it always stuck with me. And when I sat down and intentionally wrote out my list of what I wanted in a woman and what I didn't want, what my non-negotiables were, when I finished that process after a weekend of writing and staying up late and putting it on whiteboards and writing it down on paper, I asked myself the question, am I the man that will light this woman up the way she's going to light me up? And that was in the end of 2012. And I remember my answer very clearly was, no, I'm not. So I did years of work subsequent to that point, and personal development to be that man that when I did meet that amazing woman, that she would go, "Yeah, baby."
well, it must have worked because look who's sitting beside you.
Yes.
Yes.
My lovely wife.
Oh, I thank you. That was really nice.
Yeah, that's such an interesting process. And I appreciate you kind of sharing a peek at the man behind the curtain, because I think that so many people are in a similar place where they're starting to get clarity on what they want, but they maybe haven't done the balance of, am I a good fit on the other side of this equation? Am I someone who can kind of balance this out? Am I bringing as much to the table as I'm expecting from somebody else? And I think if they did, more people would kind of slow their roll a little bit, because I think you're right. There's oftentimes a gap. And I love the other thing I really love that you shared is that you spent a number of years kind of, as another guest had put it, trying people on, like just experiencing people and personalities and dating and really trying to just kind of work through that time where maybe you were a little wounded or weren't quite ready to do the work needed to be in a commitment, but still were out there giving yourself the basis of knowledge and experience to kind of crystallize and clarify the type of person that would end up on that whiteboard list.
Mm. Yeah, thank you. Look, it's definitely a process. And I'm going to pass this piece off to Michaela, because I love the way she articulates what she went through in order to be that woman, to be ready for the relationship that we have today.
Why, thank you again.
Well, you're welcome. Call me the troll.
He could do no wrong with that accent. Even if he is a creepster, the accent automatically elevates the creepsterness.
It buys a lot of grace, doesn't it? Like I've had people with the coolest accents on this show so far. I'm just like, just keep talking.
Just keep talking. Exactly. Exactly. And his journey is very similar to mine, in that I too went through a very painful divorce, a very painful death of a dream. When a woman gets married for the first time, she's really just embracing what her dream has been since she's been a child. I don't know if we're always really plugged into who we're actually choosing at that point, But all we know at a very young age is that we need to find that guy and we need to get married. And that's what I did. And the whole thing imploded. And so as I was really just recovering from a death of a dream, which was the demise of my first marriage, I knew that I was in way too much pain to settle down with anyone at that point. So I too, on different sides of wherever we were living, we hadn't known each other yet, I was going through the same exact thing. I was trying people on. I was going out. I was having girlfriend dates. I was going to little lounges, little dinners, parties, networking events. I was, rubbing elbows and hobnobbing and passing out business cards and just wheeling and dealing and just feeling myself, if you know what I mean. I was just really just excited to be out there. After I had done my ugly cry, right? Because when a marriage ends, you got to do the ugly cry for a long time. No one needs to see that. You got the big bags under your eyes. You got snot running down your face. And when it's really bad, you cry in the mirror looking at yourself. And you're and you're staring at yourself.
I've had those days. They're pretty tragic. Necessary, but pretty tragic.
Yes, exactly. I think every woman that I have ever met has done the ugly cry in the mirror thing. So that's a common thread amongst all of us women. But I did the ugly cry, and then when I kind of pulled myself together, I started going out there to date. And I knew I was very intentional that I did not want to find my husband. I was just dating. And then I had a moment of clarity one day. And I said, I've done all of the hard work. I've done inventory on all my uglies. And what do I mean by that? So every one of us has parts of us that shine. Shiny things, ha ha ha. There are parts of us that we are proud of. There are parts of us that we want to tell other people about. And then there are parts of us that are not so nice. And I call those parts the uglies. And for every woman that I have ever worked with, any client that has ever come across my practice, any client that has ever worked with us, Mark and I, one of the first places we start is taking inventory of who you are. It's just like when you do inventory on a retail store, or if you do inventory in a warehouse. You need to really have a great and accurate picture of all of your stuff. And once you've cataloged all of your stuff.
Good at lying to ourselves, aren't we? Like just like willful denial of blissfully unaware, but like you're kind of aware, but you're just keeping it tucked away because you don't really want to admit that that's part of you.
Lisa, you are right on track.
Yeah. Well, it takes one to know one. So that's me. Like I got like selfishness and I got like double standard operating and I've got, I'm aware, but it doesn't necessarily mean, I don't know that I want to write it on a whiteboard. I have, I'm there now, but man, it took me a minute because that's not the pretty stuff. We don't want to own that.
No, absolutely. We want to put the shiny stuff out there. We want to show up on a date shiny and bright. And we want to, as much as we possibly can, hide the uglies because the uglies is what turns other people off. But my theory is this, Lisa. What turns other people off is not our humanity because your uglies come from being human. What turns other people off is the lack of ownership to who we are.
Yes, here.
When you do not own who you are fully, you do so many weird things to try to be something you're not.
Yep.
Right? So
I'm familiar with that concept.
And so the first place Mark and I start when we take on a client, whether it's a couple or whether it's a single, recently single is what we like to call them, which is another word for divorcees. The recently single, which I feel like is more positive, right?
Yeah.
When we take on a client, one of the first things we do when we are doing an evaluation stage of our coaching plan together, is we do inventory on the uglies. And my theory is, like I said earlier, unless you have a full and complete inventory of who you are and who you are not, and you own all of it and you embrace all of it, good, bad, and the ugly, you should not be dating to look for your husband. End of discussion.
Yep.
I'm going to pass the ball back to you, darling Lisa.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So I love that, and I wish I would have had somebody hold me accountable to that like 8 years ago. Because it's one of those things where, you know, the old adage of the quickest way to get over somebody is to get under somebody else.
Hello, how you doing?
Right.
I don't want to hear about that. Okay, but thank you.
Right. So, but this is the thing. It seems like, and I have an episode on this topic coming up that, you know, the mentality is kind of on to the next one. Like there's no self-reflection. There's no post-mortem. There's the ugly cry, woe is me. And then there's like, all right, next. And people are putting themselves back out there, myself included. I've done it multiple times in the last 8 years, where instead of really processing and reevaluating and updating my inventory, as you put it, you know, of the uglies and the shinies, I just start looking for something to distract me, right? I look for the shiny things. I look for the next one. I look for the next kind of quick hit of who can validate me now, because I don't want to do the work. I don't want to have to find my own foundation again. Because that's painful and it takes effort. And there's so many people I can distract myself with. I would never have to spend a night at home to reflect.
So Lisa, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
There really is.
That's perfect for you know, for where you are at this stage. That's grand. Don't make yourself wrong for that. Give yourself the freedom around that. You know, what we're speaking to is when you get to the point where you say, okay, I've had enough of the shiny objects.
Now what?
That's where I'm going with this though, is like, so that's my, like that's a pattern I ran for quite a while. And it hasn't been until really like probably the last year, more specifically the last 6 months, that I've really have just pressed pause. And it's interesting that I picked now to start doing a podcast on digital dating, because I'm not. Like I kind of just stepped out. I got fatigued, and I was like, there's no point in continuing to create frustration, because I wasn't showing up the way I wanted to show up, and I wasn't getting the quality of person I wanted to show up as a reflection of that. So it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, if I say I'm looking for that real connection, like not somebody to distract me and not somebody to entertain me and not somebody to fill up my calendar, but like something that's actually real, like I have to really take a step back. And I didn't realize it, but I've been doing the inventory. I've been doing the inventory, and I've been identifying the person that I want to light up, you know, and be lit up by. And I think to do that, you got to create the space.
Yeah, absolutely. I can hear in your speech pattern in
tonality.
Your tonality that
the emotionality is kicking in, y'all. This is
I can hear, and thank you for being so generous.
Yeah, thanks for sharing
on this podcast with your listeners and with us. You know, and you're being so generous with us on where you are, because I think people learn the best when they can see themselves in others.
Yes, through the story, you're able to disassociate. You're able to take a step back and you see yourself in what you're going through, what Michaela went through, what I went through. And, you know, Lisa, the shiny object stage is a stage not enough people actually go through. The dating stage is a stage not enough people actually go through.
I agree.
Right?
And I think you're right. There's so many people running around out there like looking looking, I mean, a lot of this, I'm sorry, but a lot of this app-based dating and a lot of this online dating stuff is not necessarily meant for you to find your true love. It's meant to try people on. It's meant to learn personalities and figure yourself out. But the expectations that people have, I think, is really where things get a little twisted in this environment. There's so much misalignment, and there's like, people don't look at the context of where they're at and what their messaging is. And then they're constantly sad and disappointed and feel like technology let them down. And I'm like, listen, sister, it's not the technology failing you here.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's a
absolutely.
great point. Great distinction.
I love that you painted that picture that way, because social media is just like anything else. Social media or dating apps or technology-based dating is going to be a true reflection of what your conversation is on the inside. So if your conversation on the inside is disempowered, you will have a disempowering experience in your technological dating.
Ooh.
If your conversation on the inside,
say that again.
Yeah.
I gotcha on that one, didn't I?
See why I let her do all the talking?
A tweetable. That's a tweetable right there. That's like a drop the mic statement. Back that up and say that again.
I'm going to rewind.
And this is her without wine.
Now, what did I just say, honey?
There's still time to finish that bottle.
I know, girl. Believe me, I'm sipping on it. I'm feeling good. My cheeks are nice and pink right now.
The clothes will be coming off soon. That's what I'm waiting for.
How you doing? Ay. Your digital dating, social media, your work environment, you just fill in the blank, will always be a direct reflection of your internal conversation. If your internal conversation is disempowered or disempowering, the reflection that you will receive in whatever it is that you are looking at will be an exact replica of what your conversation is on the inside. And that's why when clients come to us, they have no idea what they're getting themselves into, because they think, oh, this is going to be relationship counseling, and I'm going to talk about my past and why my mommy and daddy didn't love me. And the first thing we do in the first session that we have with our clients is, let's get real. I love Dr. Phil, and he's a genius, and he came up with that. And I have to say that I love it. In order to really get the results that you're looking for in your life, especially if those results are high-level results, right? Like if you're a person who wants high-level results because you are just a high-level person, you're going to have to really get in there and get down and dirty and really get into your uglies. You got to get in. And you got to do the work. And it's funny. What we've learned in our practice in the last couple of years is people make it more scary doing the uglies, really embracing the uglies, taking a look at it, working through those yucky parts of us. People have that built up in their mind like it's going to be this horrible thing. And what we have found is that it's the exact opposite. Yes. Our clients have come to us with the hugest breakthroughs. Yeah. They've cried with us on our video calls. They've cried with us in person. They've said, thank you. Yes. Because I had no idea that ugly part of me that I was making wrong for all these years was just my unconscious mind trying to protect me. It was just a part of me that was trying to keep me safe, and I've been making it wrong for all these years. Thank you. And so there's discovery and gifts and lightness to be had when you embrace that painful side.
Oh, God. I'm telling you. Yes, you're speaking truth here. My soul confirms that you're speaking truth. I love it. I love it. So tell me how you guys both moved from a place of trying people on, coming out of pain and shatteredness and all of the things that that happen when you come out of a divorce or expectations aren't met. You did the work, you made your whiteboard list, you got your own uglies inventoried, and then you showed up. But so that's you. You know your side of the equation. But how did you vet, or how did you validate, or how did you discover that the person on the other side of the profile that you were encountering was in the same place as you? Because that's the other thing I see a lot, both with myself and my friends that are on in the digital landscape and looking for connections, regardless of what their intention is. There's oftentimes a lot of misalignment. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how were you able, what tools did you use, or what instincts were really helpful to you to help you clue into each other more effectively and know that yes, we're tracking, we're coming from the same point of view, we have the same intention, versus, well, he's hot or she's hot, we should go have a drink. Because a lot of times that's where it stops.
She's literally
I'm chomping at the bit here, but I'm going to pass it
No.
I'm going to pass it to my Irishman.
Take it. You're on a roll. Take it.
Well, I don't want this to be the Michaela show.
She's on a roll. I know when this woman's on a roll, so I'm letting her go.
We can always do a part 2 where Mark talks more, so don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
That first glass of wine is kicking in, girl.
She has so many pearls of wisdom coming forth right now, so I'm letting them go. Away you go. It's not about me. It's about the audience and all the gifts that you have to give to them right now.
Well, your question is so poignant, and it's so right on, and I can hear from you how committed you are to sharing powerful information for people, and for you to experience learnings through your podcast. I see that this is where this is headed for you, and I'm really happy for you on that. So I just wanted to put that out there to you.
Thank you. Well, my overall mission in life, regardless of the how, is to help hundreds of thousands of people show up as their most clued in, confident self in any situation. And I don't know, there's very few arenas where it's as difficult to do that as in dating. So this is and it takes one to know one, like I said. This is as much self-serving for me as it is to help all my brothers and sisters out there trying to find connection as well.
Lisa,
so I'm super pumped.
If you don't serve yourself, you cannot serve others. So you always serve yourself first.
Right.
So accept what Michaela's given, receive it, and give yourself the freedom to receive this. It's great that you're doing this. So over to my lovely wife.
Okay. Yeah. Well, here's the thing, and I'm going to bring it back very briefly to what we just discussed. What we just discussed is that when you, and this is just a summary, right? Real quick. When you truly have done the work, and when you truly own your femininity and who you are, and you own every side of you, good, bad, or indifferent, you have ownership on all of it. When you date in the digital landscape, number one, not to get too mystical, but number one, the universe will reflect back to you where you are. So all of a sudden, people who are emailing you or hitting like or winking at you or whatever the technology is, right? You're going to have a little bit of a higher quality type of man or woman responding based on how you're showing up, right? So when you fully own who you are, you've rewritten your profile. You've changed out all of your sexy pictures. You've taken out all of the cleavage shots from the pictures. You've now placed pictures up there, and I'm speaking for the women, I can't speak for the guys, but now, when you fully own who you are and you know how valuable you are as a person, as a human being, all of a sudden that value bleeds through all of your communications, whether it is the photos that you post, whether it's the profile that you put up there, whether it's how you answer the different questions that these apps ask you. That's going to all of a sudden, your fish net, the net that you bring the fish in with, is going to change. That's number one.
That's so funny. I have a girlfriend who she has just entered the online dating arena, but she's done the work, and she's an amazing woman. But she, in reference to me, because I feel like she came in kind of in that ideal place, and I've been working on the incremental upgrades. And that's like a whole nother episode. That's like self-worth, and that's like, that's a whole nother point of reference. But it's been it's evolved as I've evolved and through the process of growth. And she laughs now and she's like, "You're just allergic to basic. Like it doesn't even belong in your life anymore. You can't go to basic places. You can't talk to basic guys. Like it's just not even, it's a complete mismatch. It's like your body and your energy just rejects that entire scene." It's interesting. That's and cool. It's really true. And it's so funny just looking at just everything, environment and caliber of people and aspirations and everything, just even in the last 12 months. I 100% believe, I mean, you don't have to worry about going too mystical on me. Like I know that the universe is where it's at and the energy you put out, like that belongs here. So don't feel like you can't reference that, because that's something that I think that's the secret right there, right? That's how you really get clued in and figure out what's coming to you and why. So, don't hold back on that stuff here.
I love it. And it's so funny how the universe is reflecting back to you who you're being.
Love that.
Right? So that's what I'm hearing you say. And if one of your best girlfriends is giving you that feedback, then that's just more confirmation for you and all the other ladies out there and all the guys that are listening, that the universe has no choice but to respond when you do the work. It's almost like a call to action. Like when we do social media, and social media coaches will always tell you, what is the call to action in your in your post?
Right.
Right? So when you do the work and you spend some time alone and you do the ugly cry, you do the inventory on all who you are, maybe you make amends to people that you've really screwed up in the past, maybe you call them, you write them, you kind of go through all those yucky, dark areas in your life that you've been trying to cover up. And you've done all the work and you come out the other side and you're like, man, I'm feeling darn good right now. I am energized. I'm feeling amazing. All of a sudden, your standards have changed. All of a sudden, because you've done the work on yourself and your love for yourself has increased, all of a sudden your standards go up. And to answer your original question, this is the next section. How do you know if the other person can reciprocate your level of energy, or is and has done the work that you've done? Well, once you've done all the work on yourself, and we're never done, right? We'll be 90 years old and we're still working on ourselves. But once you've really done all the work, you've looked at all your uglies, you've done the inventory, you've called the ex-boyfriends that I slashed the tires. Oh, that wasn't me. That was somebody else. All that ugly, weird stuff that you got involved with.
I feel like he's laughing because it's true. Like, I feel like there's a story, if you finish that bottle of wine, that we might get out still tonight.
He's scared. He's like, ha, ha, ha. Oh my gosh. Once we fully own who we are, we've done all the work, and we are a work in progress, but we've done all the work. All of a sudden, without even knowing it, as a byproduct of what you have done, the work you've done, your standards all of a sudden automatically elevate. So the moment you get into written communication with someone in the technology-based relationship world or dating world, your filter for stupid goes through the roof. All of a sudden, your filter for basic is out the window. All of a sudden, your filter for closed-minded, boring, weird, dull, psycho, restraining orders, babies, mamas. All of a sudden, your filter for that stuff gets very refined and you can spot a stinker a mile away. No, you can spot him right if he's right in front of you from the moment that he says hello when you meet at the lounge or the restaurant. You're like, ew, yuck. Why? Because you've done all the work and now you've grown. Your filter for the bullshit, pardon my...
No, it's let it fly. Yeah, no, it's all good.
All of a sudden, your standards have just been raised up, get elevated. And so a very long-winded answer to your very amazing question is don't worry about it, because if you've done all the work, you're gonna know if the person across from you is quality or not, because your standards are going to be amazingly refined.
So by that logic and that reasoning, then if you're still running into people who are stupid or basic or closed-minded or mama's boys, then you need to go a little bit deeper in yourself then. Is that a fair conclusion?
You're not done, and you are 100% on point.
Got it.
You're not done. Sometimes we want to be done in 3 months. Sometimes we want to be done in 2 weeks. I wasn't done for 4 years. Okay. I had a lot of work to do. A lot. And I'm okay with that. And a lot of times we get clients that spend more time making themselves wrong and putting themselves down than anybody else has ever done to them. And those
I feel like you can't get away from that worth thing, like that foundational, fundamental, like intrinsic, like the intrinsic worth that we possess simply by being born. Like that seems to be the hardest point to convince someone of. If they're not there, if they haven't bought into that, if they don't own that worth piece of it, it just keeps showing up in the form of people who don't value them either.
Right. The universe will reflect back to you exactly where you are. Whether you like what it's reflecting back to you or not is of no consequence.
So you two showed up and reflected each other back to yourselves. How in the heck did that work?
I'm gonna. This is where Mark. I'm gonna let him jump in because I love when he tells the story of when we met on Match.com. I don't know if you're against plugging websites, but
no,
we're just mentioning.
I drop them all the time. It's always good to give people a good, here's what's possible.
Yeah. So we met on Match.com, and Mark is going to take it away.
Oh, he is? Okay. All right. So it was a Friday afternoon. It was a Friday afternoon. I'm trolling through Match.
He's swiping left and swiping right, baby.
I'm swiping, and up pops this lovely lady's picture. And I kept on going, and I go through a few other pictures, and I remembered, well, it had been a busy week at work and wasn't quite present, just going through it. And then I got present to the moment. I said, okay, I'm here. Let me take this seriously. And I went back through a bunch of pictures and a bunch of profiles, and I got back to Michaela's picture. And there was one picture in particular, and I'll never forget it. And she's looking at the camera. And what hit me was sultry yet vulnerable. And those are the words that hit me. And I typed her a quick note on the picture. I said, sultry yet vulnerable. And she responded quickly to that comment. And then subsequent to that, I said,
thank you.
She said, thank you. And quickly. And then I sent an email. Was that the brief one or the long one?
The brief.
That was a brief one. I sent a brief email, and she responded. And then I sent her a long email.
A long email. A long one. I was like, really? You couldn't get to the point in shorter than 3 pages.
I'm Irish. We don't get to the point. We dance around this stuff. Right? So, because Lisa, I was serious, and I had gotten to that point of going through my own uglies as a man. I dated, and I got tired of the dating scene. I had one event that I went to, which was a personal development event in California. And that week I had dated quite a few women. And when that week was finished, I was exhausted, physically and mentally. I was exhausted. And I made a decision then. I said, enough. I've seen all that I need to see. I've dated. I've been very fortunate. I've been able to date a lot of amazing women. And everybody brought me gifts, brought me friendship, brought me joy, brought me pleasure. So many different things that a man can receive. I received them all, yet there was something missing. And that was that I hadn't made the decision to step up to the next level, to find that amazing woman that I want to spend the rest of my life with. So, that decision was made in December. And then in February, Michaela comes across my emails and comes into my life. So I said very consciously and intentionally, I'm going to tell her what I'm looking for right out of the gate. I'm not going to beat around the bush because she's a beautiful woman. I know she has plenty of fellas out there that are after her just from looking at her picture. So I said, let me be real from the outset. If she likes it, she likes it. If she doesn't, she doesn't. Fine. No harm, no foul.
Why? Because he owns who he is. Sorry.
Welcome to my world.
I love it. This is why it works.
I know. So I sent her a long email, explained who I was, what I was looking for, what I wasn't looking for. And she emailed me back. And we agreed then to chat. We agreed we'll talk. Enough of the email and back and forth. We'll talk on Saturday. So we set up time to speak on Saturday evening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hang on one second. Before we get into the actual conversation, I want to know from you, Michaela, real quickly, because I'm sure, if you've been on a dating site for any amount of time, you've gotten the heys or what's up, or, like the little kind of kick in the tires thing to see if you'll respond. How do you, and I know you had just kind of a brief exchange before, but you get this long ass email from him that's like a manifesto.
I know.
How do you receive that? Was that where you were? Like, was that kind of a reflection of what you were ready for? Were you surprised by that? Or, cause I've received emails like that. And I've been like, whoa, slow your roll, dude. Like we've emailed twice, but maybe that's cause that's where I was at that time. Now, kind of talking before, but where does that land with you?
Yeah, you're
great point.
That's a really great question. This is your forte, girlfriend. You're really good at this. So it's like a 3-pronged method that I was using when I was online. And so prong number 1 was picture profile. So I matched up the pictures that were posted with the profile, and I said, okay, is this guy full of malarkey or is he the real deal? Not based on anything scientific, but based on my intuition, I would look at the picture and look at the profile description and say, he seems like a good enough guy. That's prong number 1. Then prong number 2 was based on, did he only write me 2 words? Did he say, hey, babe? Or did he say busy tonight? Or did he like just act like a 12-year-old?
Right.
Texting me? Or is this a grown-ass adult male who wants to actually talk? So that was my second. And my third prong was looking at the actual email for keywords. Now, what are these keywords that I was looking for? I was looking for keywords that I interpreted as, is this a cut and paste email or is this an actual email that he typed? For any woman who has done online dating, if you've done it for a while, the guys who cut and paste pre-typed emails versus the ones who actually sit and type it from scratch. And
here's an interesting thing, and I love that. And you're absolutely right. You get the vibe very, very quickly if this is some sort of canned mass emailed message that is customized enough to make you think they really looked at your profile, but nah, not really. He probably has a macro running in the background somewhere, pulling over your data. But but here's what I think is interesting, because when I first started online dating, like it was you had websites, right? You had Match, you had I think eHarmony was around, you had Plenty of Fish, which was kind of like the Tinder of the apps. But now with apps, like you don't even get an email. Like you get in-app messages and then maybe progress to text, but you don't really now, unless somebody's going to really bring it in a message format, in a text format, you don't even get the opportunity to filter for that BS.
You don't.
You're working with even less information, which who'd have thought that would be possible?
Yeah, I have a theory for that.
A profile. They don't do a profile. They don't have to put anything but like a picture maybe. And it's a lot of times it's like cats or memes that aren't even like a picture of the actual person, which is highly suspect in my opinion. And then sometimes a name, which could be fake, and an age, which I know in some cases is inaccurate because I actually know the people I run across online. And I'm like, dude, you were 36 like 12 years ago. Who are you? You know? So it's like, how now? Like, how do you filter even with great intuition and great reflection and sound inventories taken on yourself? How do you sort through this stuff? It's crazy.
I have a fix for you, my darling.
Yay.
And it may not be politically correct, so I'm going to ask you to put on your big girl pants.
Oh, yeah. Political correctness really has no place on this show. So,
okay. So yourself and all the other ladies who are listening, I'm going to invite you to put your big girl pants on because I'm about to break it down.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go.
If you are 30 years old and above, there is no reason why you should be trolling Tinder.
Amen, sister.
Because that is a website for hookups only. And if you're looking for your husband on Tinder, I can sell you the Brooklyn Bridge for $1 million. Like, snap out of it. Don't go on a sex for hire website looking for your husband. That's like going to a strip club looking for the love of your life. Okay, snap out of it.
Location.
Location. If you're 30 and above and you're looking for your husband, get the hell off of Tinder. Because if you
not agree with you more.
If you can't read into a person's life what their values are, what they believe in, how do you even, like, first of all, I'm just going to go back. Tinder is not for 30 and over. It's just not. The scary thing is that our 20-somethings are hooking up on Tinder and giving each other diseases and all this other stuff, which we're not going to get into because that's a completely different subject. Yeah. And it's just, it's very concerning. It's a very concerning topic for me. It makes me emotional because our young people are just going down the wrong road. So that's another subject. But my darling Lisa, you're a mature, beautiful, intelligent, powerful woman. When you are ready to look for your husband, you will make that decision on location.
Absolutely.
Valid. So valid. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how like the evolution of these things have been, because it used to be, Match was only for old people and eHarmony was only for ugly people. And Plenty of Fish, the site at that time, I don't even know if that's still around anymore, but that was kind of like the Tinder of the dating sites.
Yep,
a little more casual, a little more hookup. And then it was like Tinder when it first came out was like fairly legit. And then as other better things came out, like Hinge and Bumble, like then Tinder kind of took over the POF, like reputation of hookups. And, it's funny. I have a lot of friends that I've attended a lot of Tinder weddings, but those are relationships that started 2 or 3 years ago, back before it got quite as scandalous as it was. And it's not a judgment thing. Like, there is a market for everything.
Yeah.
And it serves a purpose. I agree with you. I don't think that it serves a purpose if you're looking for love, you're looking for your next mate, if you're in the place to reflect to someone, commitment and stability and really recognizing your worth. That probably is not going to be your target demographic.
No, not at all. The only swiping I want my future husband to do is when he wipes down the counter in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
That's the only swiping I want him doing. I don't want him like doing swipe left and swipe right and then telling me that he's looking for a wife. I'm just not, that's not going to be in alignment with my values and who I am. And when you do the inventory on yourself and when you really work through all of your stuff, Lisa, you start to realize that your values are extremely important. They come out into the forefront.
Yes. I can attest to that. It's no longer recreation. It's no longer filling a calendar. It's alignment.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, that's my answer to the swipe right, swipe left phenomenon.
It's funny because I refer to our cell phone obsession as like adult pacifiers. Because we can't manage, like no one learns to manage the discomfort of boredom or social situations or waiting, where people used to strike up casual conversation. Even like people can't even wait in line at the grocery store without being on their phone.
Yep.
Like 3 minutes. We can't do it. We can't handle the discomfort, the social discomfort of not being occupied by something. And I feel like that carries over, especially in this app-based digital dating landscape where we can't be comfortable not having attention for a minute. And we can't be comfortable with the thought, like, what are we missing? Like if we're not on right now, like our soulmate could just be one right swipe away, Michaela. Like I just got to keep going to the point where your like eyeballs go numb and your thumb falls off and you're like, when did that happen? 3 hours later.
I just got to take one more hit.
Right. It kind of is that. I mean, like seriously, Tinder's like a pretty girl with low self-esteem's like looking glass, it's one of those things where if you need constant validation and you look remotely like someone would at some point hook up with you 1 or 2 drinks in, like it's constant instant gratification if that's all you're looking for. And I think a lot of people stop there and then complain that they aren't finding anything of value. It's like, no, really?
Yeah, it all goes back to how you value yourself. If you don't value yourself, you're not going to find anything of value.
And the location.
Yeah, and the location that you're in really does make a big difference. So I just know your audience. At the end of the day, you have to know your audience. Like I said, you're not going to look for a husband in a strip club. It's just not the appropriate place to do that. And I also feel like what Mark said earlier was really spot on. Maybe you're not even in the mindset to find your husband, and that's okay. If you want to just hook up and you want to do sleep around, do your thing. Be safe. Wear a condom. Spray people down with Clorox bleach like I did when I was single. And or give people blood tests in the middle of the night when they were sleeping. A little prick test on the finger. You can buy those. You can buy those online.
Oh, I don't want to do that.
No, I'm just kidding. Not really. But you just, if you're okay with hooking up, then do your thing. But if you really truly are looking for your husband or your wife, be clear on what you're looking for and what your intentions are, and then do the work on yourself. And then kind of everything else kind of plays itself out. Because even your friends and your family start to notice something different about you. Yeah,
totally true. The whole vibe changes.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, I want to introduce you to so-and-so's son. He's the general counsel at their company. The next thing you know, you change, and then everybody's all of a sudden people have friends. They're like, oh, I want to introduce you to so-and-so.
Right.
Lisa, a lot of this goes back to being in alignment with yourself, right? So if you're in a place where you want to date and you want to go after the shiny objects and you want to swipe right and swipe left, do it.
Own it.
And own it. And that's the key thing, is to have ownership around where you are. It's if you're in the place chasing the shining objects, but you have language to yourself, oh, I should be ... whatever it might be, then we create this sense of guilt. And that's where the lack of alignment comes from. That's where that uneasiness, that uneasy feeling comes from within us. It's when we're dating and we're having a lot of fun, and there's lots of different people, men and women out there that are lighting us up. But we're saying to ourselves, our language is, oh, well, I should be settling down, or I should be finding the one man, or I should be finding the one. That's lack of alignment, and that's a challenge.
Yeah,
Right?
I've been there. I've lived in that space, and you're absolutely right. It's one of those, like, you create unnecessary conflict and you create confusion, and you because that was kind of the story to myself is, after being divorced for as long as I've been divorced and dating for as long as I'd been dating, I started getting the, oh, well, he's remarried. Like, what's taking you so long? Or why, why didn't that one turn into a marriage? Or what are you waiting on? Or, you get all of these kind of subtle and not so subtle, thanks, Mom, messages about other people's timelines and expectations. And you kind of start feeling bad about where you're really at. There's a time, and I'm still kind of on the tail end of it, where I'm like, you know what, I'm not making space in my life for that right now. So I'm not going to be disappointed that I don't have it, because it's not what I'm wanting to attract to me. But it's difficult because the script says I should be looking for this, or I should be pursuing that. And I think a lot of people get caught in that. So I think that's part of the reason you have all these people on these sites and these apps saying, oh, I'm looking for someone to build a life with and blah, blah, blah. And then you go out with them and it's like, no, you're not.
No,
like,
exactly.
You think you should be, but that's not at all emotionally where you're at all. And then you have two disappointed people.
And that's where the lack of alignment comes in and screws everything up for everybody. And that's simply, when I hear that, I hear somebody who hasn't really taken full inventory of where they are. Because look, if we take on other people's values, wants, and desires, we're never going to be happy.
Amen, brother.
We'll never be happy. If I was to listen to my mum and my dad when they were alive, and God rest them, they're dead and gone now, and brothers and family and friends that were close ones, everyone had a different opinion of where I should be. Oh my God, that would drive you crazy, because then I have 15 different opinions of where I should be. And at the end of the day, there's only one opinion that matters. And that's our opinion of ourselves. So to bring it all the way back to where Michaela started this conversation out with, what she started out with is to take ownership of where you are. And to take ownership of where you are starts with taking inventory of where you are. And once you've taken true inventory for yourself of what you want, what you have, what you don't have, and where you want to be, ultimately you can determine then, well, this is who I am right now. And who we are is an evolutionary process. It is a journey. It is not a destination. Lisa, that you will meet 3 years from now, is going to be a more evolved woman than the Lisa of today.
I sure as heck hope so. I'm working really hard.
You will. You're already amazing. You're already amazing. And like Michaela said, you're incredibly powerful.
She's a catch.
You're an absolute catch, and you're powerful. However, it doesn't matter what we think. It only matters what you think.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I just appreciate you both so much for bringing truth and speaking truth and giving tools and dedicating yourselves and your work, really selflessly to helping other people do what they need to do to end up in the place that they want to be. And I think that's awesome. And I acknowledge you both for that. I think it's, It's just amazing. It's awesome. There's so many people out there that are looking not only to find someone to build a life with, but they really are, I think, more importantly, looking to figure out who they are and find that foundation and find that identity and be good showing up. Showing up in a room as a person that they really are. And I think that's what you really help people do, because I don't think you can have one without the other. I've tried.
Yeah.
I've tried it. I've tested that theory pretty thoroughly. And I know how that story ends. And my conclusion is that you cannot and will not find someone who is a complement to you until you're firmly rooted in who you are and what your worth is.
Amen. 1,000%. That's it. That's tweetable right there.
That's done right there.
Well, hey guys, I want to give you just a closing comment, or if there's anything else, one thing that you think will make the biggest shift or be the biggest help to people, that are listening to this today. And, you've already helped them a ton, but if there's just kind of one parting thought, one thing that you think you could really get to stick for them, what would you want that to be?
I would say this. You cannot build a home on sand. In order to build a home, which is what people are looking for when they're like, I want to fall in love and I want to build a family and I want to build a home with someone, a home cannot be built on sand, on unfirm ground, without a solid foundation, like you said earlier. So my suggestion to all of your listeners and your fans is take the time to build that solid foundation by really, truly, truly taking ownership and inventory of who you are and doing the work. Build that solid foundation so that when you start building upwards, when you start putting your house together, your house actually has a leg to stand on. Versus trying to build a house, a home, a love on a foundation that is just that's built on hurt and pain and sand. So start there and be honest. And honesty will always get you to where you're looking for.
And Lisa, I'm going to add one thing to that.
Yes, please do.
You two in your conversations, you and Michaela, you brought up the point that it's location, location, location. So that house that you're looking to build on a solid foundation, give yourself freedom around the location of that house. If that house right now is in a transitory state, which involves going into Tinder and these types of places, own that location and give yourself freedom around that, because that's part of your ultimate journey. And that location today might not be your ending location. And that's a big thing. When you own the location and you're accepting of that location, then the journey is just so much easier. And it brings you to your ending location in a much easier, simpler, richer, fuller fashion. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I love it. So we're looking for firm foundations and we're looking for locations that meet us where we're at.
Where you're at in that moment, and to be okay with that location. That's critical. That's the critical piece. Be in alignment with your location. I am where I am. I love where I am. Accept where I am. I have joy in where I am. And guess what? Guess who gets to make the decision? I'm going to change location. We all do. It's that simple. It's that simple.
You guys, this was so good. Like, I feel like I just got a free therapy session. This is awesome.
Well, you kind of did.
Yeah, you kind of did.
Exactly. It's like a total bonus round. Who'd have thought? But thank you for being so generous to both me and the listeners and everyone who is going to be helped and served by this. And I know it's going to be a lot of people, and you're going to get some people to take a minute and pause. And I think that's where real change can actually start, when you just take a minute and reflect and create the space to even really start the process. And I think you've done an amazing job of helping people create that space and take that pause and kind of know what the next step is to really start getting that firm foundation in the right location. I know people are going to want to know how they can get more of you, where they can find you to work with you, to get your resources. I know you guys have a ton of great, amazing content out there, and you do live events. Where can people go to connect further with you, Mark and Michaela?
Right now, they can go on intimacypassionretreats.com. Our current event is completely filled, so we're not accepting any more applicants for our current event that's listed there. But you can get a chance to know us from intimacypassionretreats.com. And you can find us at Mark and Michaela online on Facebook and Mark and Michaela on Twitter. But if you put in Mark and Michaela, all of our stuff will come up. Your YouTube and the Instagram and the Twitter and all that kind of good stuff. But we are accessible and emailable. So we look forward to hearing from people.
Awesome. Thank you again for your spirit and your generosity and your truth. And I feel blessed and privileged to have had this time with you. And you guys are awesome. We're gonna wrap it up for today. So, wow, there you have it, guys.
All right.
Yeah,
we love you.
Love you, Lisa.
I love you guys. Thanks so much. And
I love the Shiny Things podcast. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, groovy, baby. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. And thanks, guys. Those of you listening and enjoying this, I know you probably have a whole notebook full of things. And make sure you go to intimacypassionretreats.com to connect further with Mark and Michaela. Clearly they have a lot to offer. And wow, I got to take a minute and process this. But I want to thank everybody for writing along with me for another episode of Shiny Things. And I always say you can't control how someone else is going to show up, but you're totally in control of how you show up in every situation in your life. And dating is not an exception. To get the outcome you want, you have to show up as a person that you need to be, and it's on you to make that happen. Let me know how you use today's dating superpower tips when you're out and about in the wild this week. I'd love to hear your story, so email me at lisa@powerbodylanguage.com and tell me all about it. I want the details. Don't hold back. Who knows? You might even end up on an upcoming episode with me. Until our next podcast date, keep showing up as the person you want to be.